The recording, please. Okay, thank you, everyone. Welcome. This is a State Building Code Council Legislative Committee for February 23rd, 2023. Could we please take roll?
Todd Berter.
Here.
Tony Don. Damon Doyle. Chell Anderson. Corey.
Here.
Jay Arnold.
Here.
Morning, Jay. Okay. Micah Chappelle. And Representative Ramel.
We're going to have to cut the size of this committee down to get quorum one of these days.
Yeah, we are again one short.
Okay. Well, we'll wait to see if someone else joins before obviously we can take any action. So not being able to take action, let's do as we've done in the past and jump right into the legislative update, please.
Okay.
And as we're doing that, Stoyan, maybe it'd be helpful just to, we were just talking about the cutoff. Maybe we can just quickly discuss for everyone, make sure everyone's on the same page where we are and cutoff calendar.
Do you see my screen going?
We do, yes.
Okay, and I will show you the cutoff calendar. So right here. Okay, so the first cutoff was last week, last Friday, and this is the second one. Okay, last day to read in committee reports from House Fiscal Committees and Senate Ways and Means and Transportation Committees in House of Origin. Okay, so thanks to our Josh Brown, our legislative guru, he sends us this information, but only for today and tomorrow, in the Senate Ways and Means and Transportation and in the House Appropriations and Transportation Committees, there are a total of 227 bills. So the last 2 days will be busy. What is for us? Here is where we are. Here is
and just to reiterate on that, so those two, well, primarily appropriations and Ways and Means will be going late today and tomorrow. And so by the time we meet again next week, we'll know what made the cutoff and what's sitting on the floor of the House and the Senate, right?
Yes. We started with 45 after 15 are dead after the first cutoff, but as I was advised, we may have some zombies that will come back. So this is not the total number. There was executive session for 11:10, but 11:10 was moved at 9 o'clock tomorrow. 12:16 we are monitoring it, but I don't have it. It's not part of our concern. This is 5609. This is the only one that is scheduled for today. For tomorrow, 5290, but there is not much for the council. As a summary, there are many bills, as I said, 45. Not very many are directly requiring the council to do something, but many of those are for cities and counties, and this indirectly will trigger some actions by the council later. So this is why we got involved in too many this season. I will do the same thing. I will start with the list and I'll go down, but if you want to hear or learn a little bit more about a specific bill, let me know. Last night I sent you kind of a draft. It's like for your convenience from the SBC, from the council staff, just to see some talking points and some concerns outlined in this document. Other than that, we discussed these bills several times, so there is nothing new. 1042, I mentioned the last time, this is the one that requires by January 1st, 2024, requires the council to adopt exception in the energy code, which will exempt existing buildings used for residential purposes to meet the current energy code because of the addition of new building units within the building. So we had discussions with the sponsors of the bill. I had a discussion with WABO. WABO proposed some amendments. I don't know what is going on with this bill currently, but I believe the amendments will be added to the bill. The bill will be modified. This is all I know at the moment. These are the original amendments, again, with the assumption that the bill was trying to require the council to adopt exception related to the existing building, not to the new dwelling unit that will be added. But again, this was the amendment that I saw. I don't know the status right now.
Sorry, Stoyan, I jumped out there for a second. Who proposed the amendment?
Sorry, I wasn't intentionally lying, and I woke up after I saw the amendment. So the amendment, I proposed the amendment based on conversations with the sponsors of the bill, and I don't know where are the amendments.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I was messing up with 1167, so I'll get to 1167 later. I apologize.
Yeah.
Again, the proposed amendments are based on comments that we heard during the hearings that, what was the intent of this bill. If it wasn't the intent, then the comments won't be incorporated at all. 1110. So this is one of these bills that doesn't directly require the State Building Code Council to do anything, but there are some definitions in the bill, some requirements for local jurisdictions, and we talked about it a few times. I think we agreed in the fact that it may trigger some additional work from the State Building Code Council. And I have some definitions on the back of this document, the document that I'm showing. You will see we have definitions in different bills that the same terms, different definitions, and excuse me, I didn't add the model code, the building code definitions, but there is a third version of this definition. So talking to the sponsors and sending written comments, I'm trying to raise a concern. I assume WABO was doing the same thing specifically for these definitions, but they're still different. This is the companion bill 5190. 1167. This is the one that I started talking. I made a mistake with the first bill. So 1167. This is the one that I submitted written testimony. I testified the House Committee on Appropriations. There were proposed amendments that they were proposed by WABO. Representative Duer reached out to me and asked me if the proposals are okay. Well, not the best, but better than how the bill reads now. But I haven't seen the new version of the bill. And what was proposed by WABO is, let me see, it's right here. So the date was changed to align with the triennial code adoption cycle. it's more work for the council, but it doesn't specifically require the council to adopt something. Well, the council needs to adopt something, but we need to establish a work group and research.
Stoyan,
yes,
if
sir.
I may jump in here. So just for everyone's sake, the 1167 did clear appropriations to my understanding the other night. I think I watched it on Tuesday night. So it did go through appropriations. One of the amendments that was proposed by Representative Sims from Mercer Island knocked down the pre-approved plan from multiple middle typologies to just ADUs. So I'm not quite sure how to interpret that politically, and it's not really our place to, but I don't think it changed the need for the work group, to my understanding. Does anyone else know?
Not for us. I assume the amendment was in section 1, and section 1 was for
Commerce.
The Department of Commerce. Yes.
Yeah.
I had a few discussions with the Department of Commerce regarding these pre-approved plans, but again, it was for the Department of Commerce.
Yeah, that's my understanding too. And Jay, I asked our planning director in Spokane. He gave me the same answer you did on plans. So to reinforce your statement last week. Okay. Stoyan, the one comment that came up or question even locally was, and I see Micah's on now, so we do have quorum. But Micah, do you have any updates on the single stair that is 1167 come together with the isolated bill?
I was just reading that section right now. Give me a moment and I'll give you an answer.
Okay. Or does anyone else know if we're finding kind of convergence on those two? It's Stoyan, I don't remember what the other bill number was. Is that sitting somewhere and is going to die, or?
1167?
No, the single stair, because 1167.
Oh, the single, the other one, let me check. The other one is 5491.
Yep.
And here is the last section on February 17th.
I guess I'm just referring to our conversation last week where we thought the two sponsors might bring those together into one bill.
Well, this one was modified 5491. So now there is a requirement for the council to research and adopt this single stair, single exit buildings, but the language in section 1 still stays, with the copy paste from the Seattle code, and it will be effective until the council adopts the single exit rules. So I think the effective date was, let's see, July 1st, 2026. So there were some amendments, but the bill didn't die and didn't align with 1167. I know after we discussed 1167, WABO had a meeting with Senator Solomon. Micah, do you know?
Yeah, Senator Solomon talked about aligning with 1167, and we did get 1167 modified significantly. Pretty much took out all of the single exit requirements, aside from actually pointing to the SBCC to develop those. But it consolidated it to one section without all the additional requirements and code language in the legislation. So it actually is probably working out pretty well. And, I mean, we're going to get either directed to do this, and it'd be better if the subject matter experts have an opportunity to weigh in without the legislation mandating the code language. So
the mandate still stays. The mandate still stays. It's a difficult task, but Micah is right.
Well, the nice thing is it at least gives us time to go through the regular code cycle and not have it implemented until July 1, 2026, which is the date for the 2024 code. So we should be able to accomplish it by then through the regular code development process, even with the work group as well. I mean, seems like we should be able to do it just fine. My opinion.
Mike and Stoyan, are you saying that the mandate to implement this is there, but it can go through a work group or a TAG process to develop?
Yes. Yes. Well, I don't know how successful it will be if we go directly to the technical advisory groups, because it's basically a new code. But it aligns with the triennial code adoption cycle.
Okay. So do we have any concerns or anything we need to raise to the full council, or? Okay.
No, again, I haven't seen the amended version.
I have it if you want to see it.
Okay, can you send it to me later or show it? Or
sure, I'll send it over.
Okay.
It's a draft from Serena Dolly, who is OPR staff. So I'll send it over to you.
So just to reiterate, we 1167 we believe is in rules right now and could sit on the floor by the time we talk next week. Correct?
I would say most likely.
Okay. And Stoyan, just for everyone, if there's a need, this committee is supposed to be very flexible. So if there's a need after cutoff on Friday that we should meet on Monday or Tuesday, please advise.
We can, yes, it's always, I mean, it was expected, it was expected for the council as well. So the council, we didn't schedule any meeting in February, but it's always open for a special meeting, and it's even easier with this committee. So
okay. Anything else on 1167 or?
I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Uh, 1298. So why I have it here? 1298 is dead, but the 1298 has a companion bill, SB 5258, which is still alive. And 1298, we discussed it in detail, and it was this section 13 that was related to a requirement for the council to develop these pre-approved plans. So again, 1298 didn't make it last week. The companion bill is alive, but section 13 is no longer there. So it shouldn't be our concern anymore.
Yeah, and that was the council took a hard stance on section 13, and
yes,
seems like
that was
that's no longer a thing. Okay.
So 52 SB 5253. This is the one that it requires the council to adopt standards for temporary emergency shelters and make them available for local adoption. Here is the last section, place on second reading. There were some amendments that I saw, and I didn't like the amendments because other state agencies were getting involved in that. So I know it's a difficult task to complete because it's another new code. But I think the language in the bill as it is now gives the council a little bit more room to do the research and work on such amendments. It's not specific. The previous version of this bill last year had definitions and a specific type of emergency shelters and other things that we didn't like very much back then last year. But this one, here is the summary, and it's a short bill.
I don't see that on the Senate. Is it still in rules? I don't see it on the Senate floor.
It's not. I don't see it either.
Okay.
Let me double check, but
No, yeah.
No, I don't see it.
Okay. But again, when we talked about this last, the proposal here, we think, right, it would be for the State Building Code Council to develop an appendix for potential local adoption?
That's correct.
Okay. And where does that appendix sit again? Was that an IBC thing, or there's not a lot of meat to this, is it? There's not a lot of, not meat, I shouldn't say it that way. There's not a lot of detail in this bill.
Not a lot of detail, yes. Well, in this case, I kind of prefer not a lot of detail versus too many detail that we need to comply with. I see it as the building code, but it can go in the residential also. It talks about standards for temporary emergency shelters and make them available for local adoption. It doesn't specify.
Yeah, it's literally one line. Yep, by July 1st, 2026, State Building Code Council shall adopt. Okay.
Uh, 5609. So it's scheduled for executive session right now. We may be lucky to see it after our meeting, but we didn't. I didn't submit any testimony, any comment, but that section was a little bit of a concern. It's not for the State Building Code Council, but when I discussed it with the SBC, the council staff and other council members, it looked like it could be used for excuse, but we didn't act on it. So not much to say, I think. That one is, I see as a trouble, SB 5657. We touched on it a little bit the last time. I listened to the executive session. I heard the comments. So the sponsor of the bill is saying that this kit homes will be developed off-site per the building standards. Well, the bill doesn't say any building standard, doesn't provide further guidance. And after talking to LNI, which I believed is the entity that has the authority to enforce these standards, LNI is saying they don't enforce anything. So my concern here is that we will have these kit homes. I'll use as an example a wall assembly manufactured somewhere. I mean, in China, other states that will show up in Spokane, and then the building department has the authority right here to enforce permitting by incorporated cities or towns and to local fire safety regulations. So if we have assemblies manufactured somewhere else and they are enclosed, I mean, I don't know what the city and county will be able to enforce. And the other thing is this bill directly exempts kit homes from compliance with the building codes. So I don't know who is enforcing, and I don't know what should be enforced. So that bill, again, to me, it's a little bit of.
Yeah. I find the addition of a new term confusing unless there's precedent for it. And then your reference is it's under the new section is kit homes under 800 square feet are exempt, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We underestimated the bill a little bit at the beginning because of this. So a component. This is the definition for a component. When I used my example for a wall assembly, and LNI, I believed at the time, LNI had the authority and they were doing this at factories. But LNI is telling me they enforce this kit homes style factory built housing if they're built at the factory but not on the site, which I don't really understand how this factory built housing, it's not the entire house, it's built by, you have the plumbing core, for example, you have the walls, you have the rooms. So I don't, this bill just went under the radar and
Stein, if I may, because this involves other state agencies, I have reached out to the governor's office and put this on the radar to see that there could be some challenges with life safety issues. So we're going to have some further dialogue on this after cutoff, just for awareness.
Thank you, Ann.
If I could add some insight to were you asking about how they get inspected?
Yes.
So for the plumbing portion, when they do a plumbing wall and a prefabricated wall of any kind, they've done some multifamily structures. There's different prefab things they'll do. We have FAS inspectors, factory assembled, and they come from LNI and inspect the plumbing wall under test. And then once that's approved, they can cover up the wall. And when they set the panel in place, all those connections are made again and it's retested. But that's how they do it. And I think they also have inspections in a similar way for the electrical and the rest of the, carpet, all of the other building
and structure
inspectors for each stage of it. And so then they ship the panels and install them.
And I think, Corey, to reinforce that, it's still to the plumbing code and all other codes. And
correct. So we have FAS inspectors specifically for the plumbing. When they build them, they'll build all the walls that have, say, a kitchen sink or a laundry tray. They'll put that all under test, and then when they're put in place, there's connections to make for the vent, the drain, and the water, and then those are retested.
Okay, and now when this bill says, okay, the Washington building codes, which includes the plumbing code, don't apply anymore. They are exempt if they are under 800 square feet, and LNI doesn't do any inspections or design approvals, then we will end up with this. I'll use your example, the plumbing cords. We'll end up with the plumbing cord delivered to the site with no insignia, no inspections, nothing.
Right, because they're exempt from the codes, and what is LNI going to inspect to?
Correct, and so that presents on the plumbing end, it would be a serious health concern.
Yep. So a closed wall system would, a jurisdiction is going to have a lot of trouble with that. I mean, that's obvious. And then the other part of this is under the kit home definition. I think I understand the intent and am curious on, having a less than 10-year not on a permanent foundation. So I think that's an interesting aspect of this proposal, but then to exempt from codes is a challenge.
Just on another note, I know that we sent FAS inspectors, I believe it was Poland, where factory assembled walls were being shipped to Washington State. So the state sent our inspectors to another country to inspect.
Yep, that's become more and more common that LNI is going to China, to Poland, and so forth. Yep.
Well, my background is in California. My agency was enforcing the factory built housing, and same thing. They were going to China to inspect the factories. But again, if there is an exemption, I don't know what they can enforce.
Okay.
Okay, moving to I have just on the last page of the document that I sent you, just for example, some definitions, administrative design review, we have two bills. I use two bills that are, our concern, but there are many others that they use interchangeably, define the same terms differently. The other example is here we have middle housing. Middle housing, they're defined differently, but we also have bills with multiplex housing, and there was another term that is used. So that's a little bit confusing. And again, it's not a direct mandate for the council, but if the term is defined differently in the RCW compared to the building code, then we'll start getting the phone calls. Usually staff is getting the phone calls when there is a conflict between what the building code says and what the statute says. So I'm expecting the phone calls to start coming after this RCW becomes effective.
So, and if you scroll down, that is an important one on the administrative design review to, we're, like I said, we've seen this locally on the 1026 is where external, let's call it public boards are given quasi-judicial review, right? Not even advisory, but actually quasi-judicial, only appealable to the hearing examiner. So it'd be nice to get this very clean in there, that it's either part of the building permit process or an exemption is given. So thank you for putting that up there.
This is all I have. Again, if you have something for me, I'm
no, those are the main ones that I've been tracking. So anyone else have any, including anyone from the public that would like to?
I have one update on 1167. Krista just sent me a message, but Krista, can you share the information, or you don't want to talk?
Just one of the amendments adopted last night included a null and void section to nullify the bill if it did not have attached funding. So,
yeah, thank you, Chris. I do remember that now.
Which is a good news, I think.
Right, but in the fiscal, in the introduction, I mean, the requests from the State Building Code Council were clearly in there. So.
Okay, and if we have a quorum, I can check again, and if we have a quorum, we can go back to the minutes, because we have, like, I don't know, four or five.
Yeah, let's quickly do that. We do have, I see Corey J, Micah, so we do have quorum. So with that, let's go back to our agenda, and can we hear a motion to approve the meeting minutes for January 19th, February 2nd, February 9th, and February 16th, please?
This is Corey, so moved.
Micah J. All right, thank you,
I'll
Micah. Okay, any discussion on those meeting minutes? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Nay. Okay, so approved. Can I skip over approving the agenda since we're through it?
Oh yeah, we didn't approve the agenda. Yes.
Okay, real quick motion to approve and
Move approval of the
moved.
agenda. This is Jay.
This is Corey. I'll
Second.
second
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
it. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, so approved. Sorry about that. Okay, any other business from the committee or the public? Okay, hearing none. Thank you all. We are adjourned. Thank you, Sonia and
guys. Have a
staff.
good day.
Thank you.
You too. Good
Thank
job.
you.
I won't be around next week. I'll be out of town, but
Okay.
I'll see you guys again after.
All right.
You can't do that.
No.
You're gonna miss. It's just getting exciting, Corey.